Hi friends, my name is Bhavya Mangla. I'm again back with a very interesting story from my book, The Power of Self-Talk. And today I'm going to talk about the difference between reaction and response. Well, let me start with a very interesting story. This story is of a saint who wanted to do meditation, and he wanted that he should not get disturbed in any way. So he decided that he will go to a nearby river, and then he will go on the center of the river, and there he will do the prayer. So he took a boat, go to the center of the river and start meditating. And he enjoyed it for hours and hours. All of a sudden he realized that somebody bumped his boat. He felt little irritated. But then he thought that, okay, maybe something is there. Let me concentrate on my prayer. After some time, again his boat was bumped. He felt a little bit more angry or more irritated. But then he again controlled himself and said, okay, let me focus on my meditation. But then when it happened for the third time, he got so much irritated that he opened his eyes and started looking. And he found there's no one except one boat. The boat was hitting his boat, and there was no boatman in his boat. So he realized that it was a random boat which just floating around, and then now that boat is falling again his boat. And all of a sudden, he realized that exactly that what happens in a life, that someone comes and hits you without any purpose, without any intention, and then we start feeling irritated, thinks different things, and then behave differently. Well, someone has very rightly said that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. So, if we understand this story in more detail, something similar is happening in our day to day life. When we are driving our car and someone hits from the back, we get irritated. When we go home and we see the result of our child, we see that the performance is not as per our expectation, we get irritated. Our boss yells at us, and then we get irritated and frustrated, and so many things happen. Maybe on our Twitter account, we write something and someone responds nastily to us, and then we get irritated, and then there's a communication started where we write negative thing, that person write negative thing, and so many things happen in that way. And it's a never ending process. So it's important to understand, don't you think at that particular time our situation is just like that empty boat which does not have any person to control, that sailor is not there, and we are randomly moving here and there. Well, someone has very rightly said that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. So let's understand what's the difference between reaction and response. So when we talk about reaction, primarily it's a knee-jerk reaction. It is something that we immediately do, sort of an involuntary reaction that we do without realizing that what we are doing is right or wrong. So it can result in positive, it can result in negative. On the other side, when we talk about response, at that time what we are doing is that we think that how we should respond to a particular situation, and based on that we do that, and then whatever we do is in most of the cases appropriate. Well, if we see an equation, so as per the equation, it is like an stimulus we receive, and then based on that stimulus, if we immediately take an action, it is called a reaction. But whenever there is a stimulus and we think, and based on that, when we take an action, that is called a response. Zig Ziglar has very rightly said, to respond is positive and to react is negative. So let's take the same example which I stated earlier, that when someone hits your car and you come out of your car very angry and start shouting and maybe fighting, what is our situation? Are we reacting or responding? Don't we behave like an empty boat at that time? Or maybe when our boss yells at us and then if we are calm, or maybe we also respond back. So if you see it from the perspective of the boss, don't you think at that time your boss is also just like an empty boat at that time? Or maybe when, for any situation in social media, we start writing something nasty to the other person, don't you think at that time we're reacting and we are just like that empty boat, which is not serving any purpose and making us reach anywhere? Well, Rumi has very rightly said that raising your words, not raise your voice. It is rain that grows the flower, not the thunder. So that brings a very important aspect, that what is right, reaction or response. So when we talk about reaction, primarily we are talking about something which is not in our control. But there can be a better way too. Say, for example, let's again take the example of a person who hits our car. Now, it's not that you don't need to do anything. Yes, you need to, but you have to be a little bit calm. You just come out of your car, see what happened to your car, talk to the other person, say what you want to say, and then find a solution rather than just shouting and yelling and doing all that, which is not going to serve any purpose. Something similar is in home also, that when our child is not performing to our expectation, now one thing is we can start yelling at it. The second best option is to understand that why it is happening, what is the reason, and what can be done to improve the performance. It's very important to understand that in life, who has got the remote control? When we are watching TV, we decide which channel we need to see. But in life, people have got the remote control and they decide throughout the day that how I need to behave. Maybe I am happy, maybe I'm irritated, maybe I'm excited, maybe I'm feeling depressed, and so many emotions are happening because we have given our remote control to someone else. Well, someone has very rightly said that when you react, you let other people control you, but when you respond, you are in control of yourself. So it's very important to understand at this particular point, because many people think that when you respond and you're not reacting, actually it is your weakness. But just think about it. When your boss is shouting at you and you're smiling and you're relaxed, who is more stronger? When someone writes something nasty on your social media platform and you just send a smiley to that person, who is more stronger, you or that person? Who has the remote control at that time? You had the remote control or the other person? So whomsoever is having the remote control in their hand, that person is much more stronger. Swami Vivekananda said a wonderful thing, that all power is within you and you can do anything and everything. So that brings to the last part, that what to do, how to change from reaction to response. So, well, when we do the introspection, we can find out that whenever we are reacting, it is all because of something which is in our subconscious mind, which comes out instantaneously. And we don't have any control over that. So, we have to work on ourselves consciously. We have to develop a different kind of self talk wherein we are always talking to ourselves that I'm always responding, I'm always in control, I always behave the way I want. And we keep on doing that thing, then a new groove is being created in our subconscious mind. There is a very high possibility that whenever a new situation will come, at that time, we'll actually respond and not react. Well, someone has very rightly said that the less you respond to negative people, the more peaceful your life will become. Well, in my life, I'm changing myself from reaction to response. Many times I'm successful, sometimes I'm not successful, but I'm still working on myself to convert from reaction to response. What you are doing, I'm looking for your feedback. Thank you.